Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me. And hey, before we start, quick note about the last video, which is not the next video I intend. Well, I didn't intend this to be the next video, but that's kind of the way it's happening, just based on upload schedule. So anyway, yeah, last video, the new Valentine's Day unit on the JP side. I forgot to talk about resistances, so here it is. Some spear resistance, some magic resistance, and that's about it. That's essentially the unit, basically. And that kind of lowered my evaluation of that unit. All right, now on to global stuff. And I can't think of any other better piece of music than this, because you know what? I wasn't actually expecting this week. So global is going to be ending up getting a couple of new units very shortly. That is basically, well, they're Xmas units. Wait, no, they're not. We're not allowed to say that. They're Lunar New Year's units. Wait, that's not true. They don't look remotely like Lunar New Year's units. All right. They're winter units? Okay, so yes, the winter units are going to be coming to the global side. Now, this is a pretty interesting banner, and this is a banner that I am not going to recommend to basically everybody for a couple of reasons. First of all, of course, the obvious thing is that the 1-year anniversary is coming up. Yuna is going to be coming. Dark Helena is eventually going to be coming in about 2.5 months. And Lord Mont is going to be coming as well, shorter than that. So there are a lot of good things to be coming into the near future to the game. So it's very, very difficult for me to say that you should be spending on any of these characters that are coming out this week. And there's a couple reasons for that. So let's talk about each. And the first one I want to talk about is Xmas Victoria. And now, first of all, Xmas Victoria is kind of an interesting unit in general. For one thing, I do see her in PvP actually a pretty good amount. She is a really good unit. Unfortunately, the only one I was able to find on my friend list for this video was this level 89 one, but we're not going to hold that against them. Anyway, taking a look at her just in general, primary job is sniper, secondary job is dual gunner, and third job is paladin. A very strong combination of jobs for, a few reasons. One, she's got the extended support of, being able to attack an enemy from a distance. Double gunner has some really good support abilities, such as increasing agility and defense penetration. Sniper has missile attack up and luck up. But she also has some good defensive options too, with Paladin in there as well. And overall, this unit, just in terms of her main job, in terms of, her dual gunner and Paladin, she ends up being really nice. And her limit burst has a chance to inflict blind on the enemy for 3 turns to the targets, and it can hit multiple targets, so that is nice. And her chance of being targeted herself gets decreased by using her own limit burst, which is definitely a nice thing. Taking a look at her stats, really, magic and strike is her biggest weakness in terms of resistance, and it's not that bad. Strike being the weakest one, but, there is not really a ton of good strike units, and even now on the JP side, strike just doesn't have the support it needs in terms of vision cards and a really strong summon. So yeah, I think that if you're looking, when it comes to recommending this unit, if you're really short-handed on having like a ranged unit, getting Xmas Victoria is definitely not a bad idea. I think she has good stats for an archer. She has plenty in terms of being focused towards physical and offensive physically. She's a little weak against magic, so you just got to hope that, you can get a unit that will protect her and everything, or that she can kill whatever units before she comes after her. Of course, one of the things to note is that she doesn't have naturally the biggest shooting resistance either, and there are 2 thunder range units currently in the game. So that is something to be considered. When taking a look at the elemental aspects of this unit, or even looking at her on a team with other range units, they synergize really nicely. So there is some good stuff here, and I do like Xmas Victoria overall. Do I think she's an absolute must-get? No. Really, if you're all in on ranged units and ranged attack type units, then this is a good get for you. If you are looking for, potentially getting your first range unit, I think you could do a little bit better with Niv, just because she's not limited. But that's just a personal recommendation of what I think. All right, the second unit to talk about is Xmas Venera, and Xmas Venera, well, thankfully I have a much better evidence of how good this unit can be. So first of all, taking a look at her jobs, she has the Fighter main job, Ninja sub, and Spellblade underneath. A really amazing combination of jobs, and if I was to pick which of the two units I actually end up liking more, it's definitely Winter Venera. Sorry. Slip of the tongue. Anyway, taking a look at her, she does have shooting resistance, so naturally being an Earth Elemental character, Lucia would be a problem for her, but if you don't run into Lucia, it's not really a problem. She's good against Sword, she's good against Other Strike, and she's very good against magic users. Something to note, taking a look at this, is that the proof also that she's good against magic users, you can have a pretty nice spirit stat pretty easily while still having a fairly decent defense stat as well, and all of that is very nice. Taking a look into her skills, she has ways of increasing her agility and luck, HP and attack, defense penetration on some of her attacks, her magic resistance, and therefore she's just kind of a really, really good unit, because you can essentially set her up to be a very counter mage unit. Especially if you put a Esper on her that is magic resistant, and you put on some equipment that is magic resistant, she's actually, to me, one of the best magic counter units in the game. She has the skills of a fighter that can allow her to teleport next to a unit, basically closing the gap in a mage. She can be pretty magic resistant herself, but not only that, Spellblade does give her some more in her arsenal and for supporting other units against mages. So I do think that Xmas Venera is one of the better units to come to the game, particularly because she is in a little bit of a blind spot for a lot of units right now. Not really a ton of units are good against Strike, even though Strike definitely, and I will say this, she could really end up using a particular boost from a Strike focus summon. Looking at her limit burst, she's good support for Earth Elemental characters, so if you're really into Earth Elemental characters, this is a good get for you as well. Overall, between the two units, Victoria and Venera, for their winter versions, I definitely recommend Venera a lot more, because her coming to the game early means that she can be a little bit of a early counter towards mages, and not only mages, but Yuna, who is coming in the very near future to Global. Now, with that being said, there is something to talk about these two units as comparison to the JP side, where they came out with their EX. They're not going to have their EX on Global, and I'm not entirely sure when they are going to get their EX on Global. Could be a couple months later, could be 3 months later, could be 6 months later. We don't know. So this is one of those, be very cautious with how you handle this, getting these units and investing in these units, because currently it's not like you can save up for their EXs in the future or anything like that. And one of the reasons why they are so good on the JP side is because they do have their EXs where other units don't. If you take a look at, like Victoria is definitely a good unit, and she has a newer class to her in the fact of Sniper, so that's very good against countering again, or just, being powerful as well, because she has her EX, and, fair other units just don't have that, so aren't quite as powerful. But that being said, they are potentially good investments to the future. So yeah, if you're really interested in either of these winter units, Xmas units, Lunar New Year's units, whatever they want to go with, whatever you want to call them, I do think that both of these units are good gets, but a little bit questionable of when they will get their EX for when they will truly shine, because I think if it's going to be 6 months down the line, that's going to be nowhere near as good as when they just came out in the schedule on the JP side, because they were a little bit better then. But hopefully Global is going to work them into the schedule to have a secondary event a little bit later, like maybe 2 months down the line, so that they can get their EX. Have to wait and see. And that's one of the things that makes this a little bit dicey of a recommendation. But if you're looking for a good, really good counter mage unit, or if you are looking for a, rounding out your archery range units, well, there's good stuff here to be sure. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. And Global, you're almost at the 1 year anniversary. Congratulations, almost made it. See ya.